Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, a forest fire in Pulaski County destroys one home and threatens others over the weekend. Plus, two birds of a feather are getting pardoned together as part of the White House's 75th annual turkey pardon.
And Thanksgiving is coming right up, and unfortunately, it appears so do rain chances. Latest on when we could see showers work in coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Firefighters in Southern Kentucky were busy over the weekend battling a wildfire that got out of control and even destroyed a home. That fire also threatened several other homes and saw dozens of firefighters respond. WYMT's Phil Pendleton spoke to the fire chief about the current fire danger and what happened on Saturday.
Firefighters were called to Old Waitsboro Road Saturday. A home and a garage were burning. The surrounding woods were also soon on fire. A countywide call for help was soon made.
We had crews working the forest fire, and then we had crews working the house fire. And we had crews bringing us water back and forth.
One home was destroyed, but there could have been a lot more. The fire chief says ultimately there were a lot of homes that were in the path of this fire, and it could have been a lot worse had not they been able to bring this fire under control. They worked for about 12 hours to put out and contain the fire.
They're very dangerous. The wind blowing, and they can start jump over top of the fire break and catch more on fire.
Gross says they believe the fire started from a debris pile burning at a nearby home. He says fire and wind is a dangerous combination.
And also they just need to make sure the wind ain't blowing real hard, because that will blow the embers out and catch everything else pretty quickly.
No one was in the home that burned, and no one was hurt fighting the fire. In Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The fire chief says Pulaski County's local burn ban was lifted, but strongly discourages anyone from burning outdoors right now. Yesterday, a week after the murders of 4 University of Idaho students, the Moscow Police Department hosted another news conference to update the public on their investigation. Moscow Police Chief James Fry revealed that other friends of the victims were at the home when officers responded. He did not share how many friends or elaborate on their possible involvement. On November 13th, officers were called to a home on King Road in Moscow for a welfare check. That's when officers found the victims dead inside the home. Each victim died of stab wounds. 1 week later, the murder weapon has not been recovered and no suspect is in custody.
Early in the investigation, local businesses were canvassed in an effort to see if any fixed blade type knives may have recently been purchased. And currently, there are no suspects in custody, and we have not located a weapon. I want to assure you that every investigator involved will continue to put all of their resources and all of our partner agencies' resources into continuing this investigation.
Moscow Police Chief James Fry said investigators have received nearly 650 tips and have conducted 90 interviews in the case. The suspected gunman in an LGBTQ nightclub shooting in Colorado Springs over the weekend could face murder and hate crimes charges. The violence ended 5 lives, wounded more than a dozen other people, and rattled a welcoming community. CBS's Marissa Armas has more from the scene.
A memorial outside Club Q in Colorado Springs is growing. A safe space now shattered after a gunman opened fire Saturday night.
I don't know where to go now.
It's probably going to take a long time for us to even be able to feel safe out there anymore.
Police say 22-year-old Anderson Lee Aldridge walked into Club Q Saturday and immediately began shooting with the long rifle, killing 5 people and wounding more than a dozen others. Patrons were able to subdue him until police arrived.
All we heard was just him kind of gradually going through the club and just shooting as he was kind of like walking. It was almost like target practice really for him.
The suspect was arrested on 5 murder charges and 5 charges of committing a bias-motivated crime, according to records obtained by the Associated Press. The DA's office says it's still reviewing the case before filing formal charges.
On the surface, it certainly has the trappings of a hate crime.
Investigators executed search warrants Sunday and scrubbed the suspect's social media accounts to see what kind of statements he made to other people. As the community mourns victims and rallies around survivors, Colorado Springs mayor is drawing a line in the sand.
We are intent on ensuring that the actions of one lone male, regardless of what his motivations were, are not reflective of our community and don't define our community.
The flag at the state capitol is flying at half-staff in memory of the lives lost. Marissa Armas, CBS News, Colorado Springs.
The suspect remains in custody at a local hospital. The attack occurred on the eve of Transgender Day of Remembrance, which honors lives lost to violence.
Well, plenty of sunshine as we went through the day today. We'll continue to see that theme of sunshine right on through the first half of our Thanksgiving week and for many of our early, or I should say short work weeks out there. Mountain Parkway at Slade, 50 the current reading there as the sunset looks wonderful at this time of year, at this time of day. And look at this shot from Buffalo Mountain here in Perry County, 46 degrees there. Looking pretty nice with what's left of the sun kind of falling below the horizon there. We're all cool out there, upper 40s to low 50s. That's after some of us got into the middle 50s today. And yeah, it's looking all right out there as we head through the remainder of our Monday out there. The only issue, it's really dry, so don't burn outside if you don't have to, because we are dealing with very low dew points in the teens. It's all dry out there right now. We don't see any smoke plumes that would give us the indication that anything's on fire right now, which is good. But still, take those precautions out there. Mid-20s, clear and cold as we run through tonight. Details, though, in a few minutes on when we return to some milder air. Stick with us. Steve?
Evan, thanks. Former President Donald Trump announced his 3rd bid for the White House last week and has already started campaigning, talking at an event of important Republican supporters. But the former president's legal troubles may be just heating up. CBS's Nicole D'Antonio has more from Washington.
Then we have to take back the White House in 2024. That's imperative.
Former President Trump made his pitch to the Republican Jewish coalition this weekend that he is the person to retake the White House.
We have to take the fight straight to Joe Biden and his radical and incompetent administration, and it is grossly incompetent and very dangerous.
The gathering of important Republicans also featured Trump's biggest potential rival, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
We've accomplished more over a 4-year period than anybody thought possible. But I can tell you this, we've got a lot more to do, and I have only begun to fight.
It was Trump's decision to announce his candidacy that led in part to Attorney General Merrick Garland's appointment of a special counsel to lead the investigation into the former president.
Appointing a special counsel at this time is the right thing to do. The extraordinary circumstances presented here demand it.
Federal prosecutor Jack Smith will oversee one probe involving the January 6th insurrection and efforts to undo the 2020 presidential election, and another probe into the former president's handling of classified documents at his Florida residence.
As special counsel, he will exercise independent prosecutorial judgment to decide whether charges should be brought.
Trump called the investigation a political attack. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, Washington.
Well, President Joe Biden had his hands full of feathers today. It was all part of the 75th annual presidential turkey pardoning. WYMT Washington Bureau reporter Molly Martinez has more on that.
2 lucky turkeys are counting their blessings this Thanksgiving. Chocolate and Chip were selected for the official presidential turkey pardon.
But you are pardoned.
Monday, a different kind of diplomatic relations with Turkey from President Joe Biden at the White House.
He said, I don't know, man, you didn't have to pardon me. I knew I was pardoned.
Before receiving the coveted presidential pardon, these 2 very important poultries got the plastic carpet rollout this weekend. Chocolate and Chip gobbled up the attention. They even spent the night at the luxury Willard Hotel before their big day. Word is they hit the minibar pretty hard, but have since quit cold turkey. Ronnie Parker with the National Turkey Federation says these two don't normally ruffle feathers.
As you can see, these turkeys are very well behaved. And so we worked with them very hard over the last 4 or 5 weeks, and the two that behaved themselves the best are the two that made the trip.
Congressman Dan Bishop, who represents Monroe, where these birds were hatched, says it's a great honor for North Carolina.
It all looks fun and easy. I can tell you there are times that are not easy in that farming operation and in all others across the country. Back-breaking hard work, but it's amazing how it produces marvelous Americans.
Well, there won't be any post-pardon depression here. Chocolate and Chip will go back to North Carolina, where they're going to live out the rest of their days at NC State as part of their agricultural studies program. In Washington, at the White House, I'm Molly Martinez.
Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, Social Security is set to see a significant bump in 2023. The experts weigh in on how this increase will affect you.
I have no words for those puns. In any case, we're getting potentially soggier as we head towards Thanksgiving Day and Black Friday. Latest trends coming up after this.
WYMT News app offers alerts on breaking stories as they happen, customized